Big things are happening in Indianapolis, and the defensive shift for the upcoming season is absolute fire. We've got some major news regarding a rising star in our secondary who is refusing to be ignored despite a crowded room of talent. Everyone is talking about the high-profile additions, but there's an under-the-radar playmaker currently fighting to change the entire rotation. Is this young defender about to secure his spot and prove all the doubters wrong? You don't want to miss this update. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below. Let's dive into this situation right now. The Indianapolis Colts are charging into the 2026-27 season with a transformed defensive identity, spearheaded by high-profile talent and a revitalized secondary. At the center of this defensive evolution is defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo, who enters his second year at the helm of the unit. The Colts have constructed a formidable core anchored by the elite trio of cornerback Sauce Gardner, defensive tackle DeForest Buckner, and safety Cam Bynum. This established foundation provides a clear structural advantage for the squad. Beyond these headline names, the roster benefits significantly from the contributions of defensive end Laiatu Latu, cornerback Charvarius Ward Sr., and defensive tackle Grover Stewart. These veterans solidify the defensive frame, offering stability to the 5 remaining new starters looking to make their mark. While the top-tier talent commands attention, the depth of this group represents a marked improvement over the previous year. Specifically, the cornerback room has evolved into a much more robust unit than in seasons past. For the passionate fans cheering for the shoe, this increased depth at the defensive back position provides a promising outlook for the campaign ahead. The organization has prioritized building a competitive, multi-layered defense capable of handling the rigors of a full NFL schedule. By surrounding established stars with a deep supporting cast, the Colts have intentionally created a defensive infrastructure that minimizes vulnerabilities across the secondary. As training camps progress and the team gels under Anarumo's specific defensive philosophy, the expectation is that this new-look rotation will provide consistent performance. The transition from previous roster configurations to this current, talent-rich setup highlights a strategic commitment to defensive versatility. Every snap in 2026 is an opportunity for this revamped group to prove its worth against the league's most potent offensive attacks throughout the upcoming season. The defensive transformation truly crystallized when considering the turbulent path the cornerback room traveled during the 2025 season. After years of roster constraints, the front office finally secured a lockdown presence by signing Charvarius Ward Sr. to a massive 3-year, $54 million contract. However, the unit faced immediate adversity. The promising rookie Justin Wally suffered a season-ending torn ACL, while cornerback Jaylon Jones struggled to stay on the field after re-aggravating a hamstring injury in the opener. These personnel gaps, compounded by a series of concussions for Ward Sr., forced the organization to orchestrate a blockbuster trade with the New York Jets to acquire the superstar Sauce Gardner. This move was not just a luxury, it was a necessity to stabilize a secondary that had been pushed to its absolute limits by injury and unpredictability. Why does this matter right now for the team? Because the 2026 Colts are finally harvesting the benefits of that hard-fought depth. With the primary stars now healthy and a bolstered rotation in place, the team possesses the flexibility to handle injuries that decimated the position just 1 year ago. The presence of these high-caliber players allows for a more aggressive defensive scheme, as the coaching staff no longer needs to play conservatively to compensate for talent deficits. This depth is the hallmark of the current defensive structure, ensuring that the loss of any single starter does not result in a complete collapse of the secondary's coverage integrity. By successfully navigating the injuries of the past and investing heavily in proven secondary stars, the Colts have transformed what was once a position of weakness into one of the most reliable areas on the roster, setting a firm baseline for the defensive performance required in 2026. Within this revamped secondary, second-year cornerback Jonathan Edwards has emerged as a player whose trajectory is defying expectations. As a member of the 2025 undrafted free agent class, Edwards initially secured a spot on the 53-man roster out of sheer necessity following the team's massive injury crisis. At the time, his promotion was widely viewed as a stopgap measure rather than a reflection of long-term preference. However, the reality of his performance told a much more compelling story. Throughout his rookie campaign, Edwards appeared in 14 games and earned 5 starts, contributing 26 tackles and 3 passes defended. These numbers, while modest on the surface, highlighted a level of reliability and consistency that caught the attention of defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo. Anarumo, who earned a reputation during his 6 seasons in Cincinnati for favoring veteran experience, clearly saw enough in the young cornerback to trust him in high-stakes defensive rotations. Unlike many undrafted players who struggle to find their footing, Edwards showcased a remarkably high floor that allowed him to remain productive despite the constant shifting of the secondary lineup around him. As we move into the 2026 offseason, that reliability has become his most valuable asset. Even with the cornerback room now fully healthy, Edwards has maintained an inside track for an active roster spot. His work ethic has become a topic of internal discussion as he continues to operate as a persistent ball hawk during workouts. By proving that his rookie performance was not a fluke, Edwards has cemented his role as a key contributor. The transition from an emergency depth piece to a trusted rotation member exemplifies the exact kind of internal development the organization hoped to see when they opened the door for him last season. The competition for the final spots in the defensive rotation is intensifying as the team prepares for the summer transition, and the focus remains squarely on the depth behind the stars. While Sauce Gardner and Charvarius Ward Sr. command the spotlight as the primary boundary cornerbacks, the battle for the remaining positions in the rotation has become a clear indicator of the team's new standard. For fourth-year cornerback Jalon Jones, the road ahead appears particularly challenging. Having struggled to fully integrate into Lou Anarumo's complex defensive scheme during his initial season, Jones now finds himself in a precarious position. Entering the final year of his current contract, the pressure is mounting for him to prove his value to a coaching staff that is clearly prioritizing consistency and scheme fit above all else. This narrative creates a distinct contrast with Jonathan Edwards, who has utilized his work rate and tactical awareness to distance himself from the bottom of the depth chart. The fact that the organization is moving forward with a mindset that favors those who have demonstrated immediate adaptability within Anarumo's system is a testament to the new level of internal competition. For fans, it is essential to recognize that this is not just about filling out a roster. It is about building a defense where every player, regardless of draft status, is held to a high-performance standard. Jones faces the difficult task of reclaiming his position, while Edwards has firmly established himself as a player who belongs on the field. This competition ensures that the level of play in the secondary remains elevated throughout the entirety of the preseason. The organization's commitment to these specific personnel decisions highlights a clear objective: to field the most disciplined and effective secondary unit possible for the upcoming 2026 regular season. The unfolding story of the Colts' defensive rotation in 2026 provides a clear look at how the organization manages its personnel resources after a year of significant trial. By balancing the high-profile acquisitions of stars like Sauce Gardner with the organic development of undrafted talent like Jonathan Edwards, the franchise has effectively stabilized a once volatile position group. The decision to move on from longtime slot defender Kenny Moore II, combined with the roster pressure on players like Jalon Jones, signals a decisive shift toward a younger, more scheme-compliant secondary unit. These moves reflect a deliberate strategy to optimize the roster for Lou Anarumo's specific defensive requirements. As the team moves through minicamp and approaches the heat of training camp, the narrative surrounding the secondary is no longer defined by the question of whether they have enough talent, but rather how they will utilize that depth to maximize impact. Every rep taken by Edwards is a validation of the team's decision to maintain him within the system, while the struggles of others serve as a reminder of the competitive nature of this upgraded roster. The Colts are entering the 2026 season with a defensive framework that is statistically and structurally more sound than the one that opened the 2025 campaign. With the health of the veteran leaders established and a young, hungry core of rotation players fighting for their spots, the defensive secondary is positioned to be a major factor in the team's weekly performance. Fans watching from the stands can expect a different look this year, characterized by tighter coverage and a more resilient secondary rotation that is prepared for whatever the opposition throws its way. The commitment to depth is the ultimate safety net for the season.